This is Listen After Watching,
a podcast where we recap and discuss the most mind-bending, twisty, and thought-provoking TV shows and movies out there. I'm Adrian.
And I'm Alicia. Let's dive in. Welcome to your favorite sibling podcast. I, of course, am the taller and younger one, Alicia, and I'm joined by my elder sibling and my best friend. Speak.
The hot one, Adrian.
That's right.
What is this?
And we are so excited today to talk about the season 2 premiere of one of our very favorite shows, Severance.
Woo woo! We're back,
gosh.
baby!
What a beautiful reunion to see all of our favorite characters again. But before we get into the episode, how are you doing?
I am honestly, it's been a whirlwind, Leash. You know why? Because we just recorded this whole episode. And only to find out, are you shocked? Only to find out that my microphone was having issues. So we are truly back, baby. We are back and we are back again.
You're peeling back the curtain a little too much, okay?
Oh
my intro was earnest.
It's been a week. It's been an interesting week. I had some fun things happen this week, though. I started a letterpress class with Abby, my partner. That was fun. And then also my trivia team, we competed in what is called Battle of the Breweries, where we went up against the best of trivia teams from 2 different breweries. We did not win.
Oh,
but we got
sorry.
5th place or something. We did pretty good in the beginning, and then we really tanked it.
That is pretty good. 5th? That's not bad. And you made it there.
Pretty good. Yeah. We're also a very young team. I feel like having some older, wiser people who've been through some more history on your team really helps. So
you got to put the message out there, recruit some elders.
Some elders.
I didn't want to say old people. I didn't want to offend anybody.
No. Yeah.
Elders.
Seeking trivia elders.
It makes it sound like some Dungeons and Dragons, like
it's like a personal's ad.
Seeking a mage, a druid, and well,
and a young boomer. How was your week?
It was pretty good. Rather uneventful for me personally, but spent some time with family. Matt, my husband, his dad's health is recovering after spending a little time in the hospital. So just hanging out. Last night we went and watched the Washington Commanders play. And for anybody following football, it was a game that I think nobody was expecting them to win, but it was pretty much a blowout. I mean, they did an incredible job. So they just have one more game to win, and they could make it to the Super Bowl.
Whoa.
This is very exciting for Commanders fans who are perpetually disappointed.
Okay, sports. Let's go, Commanders.
Let's go. Sports talk. We didn't know that we would be talking about sports today.
I definitely didn't. I learned something today, and that was it. Anyway, besides our personal weeks, there has been some insane national news stuff that's been happening. Okay, so the first time we recorded this episode, we talked about how TikTok had gone dark last night. We're recording this on Sunday the 19th. And since we recorded the last version of this episode, apparently TikTok is back.
We opened the apps. We saw I was seeing last night around like 11 or whatever, which nobody was expecting it to go dark that early. So everyone was like shocked and disappointed. But there was that message saying that it was not available to us any longer.
Yeah.
And it was saying that they hoped that President Trump would help them bring it back, which is a crazy thing for an app to say. I feel like, I don't know. But yeah, we opened our apps just before this, and I was watching a TikTok, but I couldn't scroll, like, it was only showing me one.
Yeah, my Abby texted me and said TikTok is back, and I refreshed a few times, and my scroll's back. I'm scrolling.
Yeah, they're working on
So
mine.
it's
It's important.
Alicia has a lot of saved videos they had to bring back. A lot of cats. But geez, it's been a crazy week, and then we have Trump's inauguration tomorrow
Tomorrow.
slash the day this will be released. So there's a lot of I don't know, it's feeling very ominous right now in the current sphere,
It's
which
strange. I feel
and
like
it's like
I don't know, like, we're living in an alternate reality. Like, I jumped timelines to a worse one.
I agree. I agree. And I think we're not that far away from this Severance world that we're currently exploring. So
God,
it's been
sever me
wild. I
for the
think
next
it's
4 years.
sever me timbers. I think it's times like this though that I appreciate stories like Severance because it reminds us that this nefarious stuff is real. Like it does happen. And I do think that there are a lot of powers at play that do not have our best interests in mind. And we're
That's for
seeing that
sure.
play out here. Back to Severance, what we're here for. Man, it's been a wild just week leading up to this first episode of the new season. The marketing has like popped off. We waited 3 years for this thing and I feel like they hired a marketing team in December and gave them $50 million and said, "Pop off, baby," because I've just been like inundated with stuff. And then we saw the huge Grand Central Station uh installment. I don't know what we want to
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah, that was so cool, and I was seeing, obviously, like, for the first couple of days before they posted maybe official pictures and video of what they did there, I was just seeing, like, people in New York who happened upon it and were taking video, which was super cool, and it was awesome that Ben Stiller was there. To see him, like,
I
taking video
know.
himself on his own phone is just so funny to me that he's like, "I need to save this on my phone," even though he knows that there's, like, professional people there with cameras.
Yeah, that was really cute. Um, I love seeing Ben Stiller in this role. I'm so
Mhm.
grateful that he's a part of this project because it's been very cool to watch.
Yeah, and, like, we remember him as just Derek Zoolander, and I feel like, I mean, we've watched that movie so many times growing up. It's just awesome to see him in, like, a more creative role and one that probably is more interesting to him, but he's so good at it. I mean, this show is so good.
I know, it's incredible. Okay, so we are about to get into the episode, but one thing we wanted to introduce is sort of a segment slash fun thing for us while we're watching this season is something we're calling Egan Bingo. So
Yes.
Alicia has put together these bingo cards, which we are each filling out with our predictions of things that are going to be happening in season two.
Yeah, if you remember from season 1, the refiners play Egan Bingo when they go to visit the Perpetuity Wing. So, we're doing a little spin on it with our predictions. I hope I get bingo. I mean, some of these things I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna happen at all, but I'm just guessing. Made some safe
Yeah.
bets, like things that I'm pretty certain we'll see, but other things are just totally, like, shots in the dark. I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, what are some of the things on your bingo card?
So, I have Milchick talks to the board, which I feel like that's probably
Come on, that's gotta happen.
definitely gonna happen. So,
Apparently
I also have food reward, which is, like, another one that's like, that's gotta happen too. Like, that's their
yeah.
thing. But then I have some other ones that are like, I have reintegration. Are we gonna see someone
Mm.
reintegrate this season? That's kind of a
Mm.
shot in the dark. And then Mark and Gemma kiss, that is a huge, I mean,
That one's like
it's a
50
Hail
steps
Mary.
forward.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that's gonna be like season 8. I mean,
which apparently they're greenlighted for a season 3, thank God.
Oh my god,
Um,
yes. What's on yours?
but yeah, they're definitely gonna be saving some things, so we'll see. I think some of mine are the same. Let me actually go down to my final version here. Baby goats. I think maybe we both have something about goats on ours.
Mhm.
I have meeting a new Lumen department. I have
Yeah.
a feeling there are many more we haven't seen yet. Audi infiltrates severed floor, which maybe we will talk about a little later in this episode.
Aw.
A lot of mine, some of mine are very similar to yours. I do have one that I'm predicting that I'm excited about. I think Rickon is going to have a hero moment sometime in this season.
That would be amazing. I could see that. I could see that.
I think Rickon's going to get a redemption moment where we all start liking him the way that Mark S does.
Yeah, or like Devin seemingly seems to like him. I mean, she's married to him. What does
Yeah,
she see in him? He
that
must
too.
have some good in him.
I don't know. I think we might see it finally, but yeah, I think that would be a cool. I think there's a good setup for that to happen. So, uh anyway, if you want to play Egan Bingo along with us, we are going to put the a version of the blank board on our Instagram stories. If you
Mhm.
want to go there and get a copy of that and fill it out yourself and play along.
Yeah, don't wait too long because
I know.
you gotta
They're
make your
coming at us
predictions.
fast.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to get into the episode. So before we start, this is your perpetual spoiler alert. If you haven't caught on, we're talking all about Severance Season 2, Episode 1, which is called Hello, Miss Cobel. So if you haven't watched it yet, pause the podcast, go to Apple TV, watch it, and come back.
Ooh, baby. Let's jump in. Okay, before we start, we're going to do a beat by beat recap of what happens in the episode and kind of chat through it. We're also going to get really deep into some of these Reddit theories that we're seeing. Some really good ones, actually. But
Mhm.
first, I want to get your reaction, Leash, to the episode. If you could pick one word to describe the episode, what would it be?
I'm going silly, and you already know this. I'm saying brooms. Brooms is my word to describe the episode.
That's a good one. That was a fun part of the episode, actually, that Italian character. We don't even get his name, I don't think, do we?
I don't think so, no. I was waiting for it, when they were playing the ball game, but no.
Did you have an elevator? No, we had, what's it called? A rope.
Oh, man.
That
What's
was a
your
fun
word?
little part. Okay, my word for this episode, drumroll please, is lies.
Wow. Spitting
There are a lot of
facts.
lies. Yeah, there are a lot of lies being thrown around in this episode, and we'll get into that.
Or spitting
So that's my
lies. I
word.
mean, that
We
too.
might be spinning lies too.
All right, so the episode opens. Mark reawakens in the elevator. He's down on the severed floor. He's panicking, and he runs to find Miss Casey's wellness room, but it's been decommissioned. And he also finds that his whole team has been replaced.
Ugh. Yeah, so they hit us immediately, right off the
Heartbreak.
bat. First, he's running around these floors for about 5 minutes, I swear. And we're wondering what he's looking for. If I wasn't even thinking, like, what is he doing? But once we get to the wellness room, it clicks back in, like, oh,
Right.
his innie just found out that his Audi's wife, who died, is Miss Casey. They are the same person, seemingly. So
Mhm.
his innie, as soon as he gets in, that's like on his mind.
Right. That was a second ago. And I think Adam Scott does such a good job of recapturing like the panic that he left us off with at the end of season 1. Like he's exactly in that same headspace.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. And then he gets to the wellness area, and this is so Lumen, I feel like. They didn't just remove the wellness area, it's still there. You can still kind of see where it says wellness. The
Mhm.
doors, they didn't paint they didn't paint the room or remove the seats or anything about it, but they just plastered over the doors
It's like they're in
in
the
that hallway.
process of removing things, but they're not done
Yeah,
yet,
maybe.
you know?
Yeah. But it seems like they could have easily hidden that from him,
You would
but they
think.
didn't. Anyway, that was initially very jarring, and then the next place he goes is his MDR department,
Mhm.
and like you said, is greeted by 3 completely new people, strangers, which I'm sure again, for him, it's been a moment, and
Mhm.
he's back, and these are strange people.
I'm like, as soon as I saw them, I was like, "No new friends. I don't want to meet and start to learn about new people."
No. Hell no. We want our old people back.
I miss them.
Um, I know. We were excited, as we said last episode, to see Alia Shawkat. We loved her from Arrested Development and other things.
Mhm.
But we want Helly back. We want Dylan back. We want Irving.
Mhm.
Um, so he doesn't even get a chance to really start talking to these new folks before Milchick comes in, and he brings him to what is now his new office, which was Miss Cobel's old office.
Mhm.
So basically, Mark learns that Milchick is now running the severed floor, and he has a new deputy manager, Miss Huang, who we immediately see is a child,
Mm.
maybe 11 years old. We don't know.
Uh-huh.
But Milchick tells Mark that 5 months have passed, basically, since the Innies did their overtime contingency move. And the Macrodat Uprising is what they're calling that. And
Mhm.
supposedly that made Mark's team famous in the faces of severance reform, which is this new thing.
Mhm.
And he says that Mark's Audi is the only one that agreed to come back, and that's why the other 3 aren't there.
Yeah, this part is very interesting to me that I mean, obviously the show has to continue, so we have to have Mark's any back, but I wondered at this point, like, why do they want Mark back at all? Like, why do they need him back? It seems like they would just fire all of them and be done with it.
That's what I was wondering.
But
I
it's also strange because, like, they they must know that Mark's any now knows that Miss Casey is his Audi's wife, and his Audi also knows that, like, his wife is alive, and his Innie knows that she's alive and has met her. So, like, they're just asking for Mark to, I don't know, like, find her, like, stage some kind of rebellion.
Yeah, it's so messy. And it makes you wonder, like, to what end? Like, what are they getting out of this? Maybe it's something that we're not even obviously, we're not picking up on it,
Mhm.
but the risk has gotta be worth the reward, you know?
Gotta be. Well, there's a great part after he talks to Milchek that I really love, and Mark is walking with his balloons with his face on it, back to MDR, and he just lets them go. They hit the ceiling, and he's, like, on a mission. He keeps walking, and I feel like it is such a tone setter for probably the entire season of the turn that Mark is making, and we see it, like, immediately after this, but it's such a satisfying moment, like, "Fuck this place. I don't care about these balloons. I don't care about these rewards. Like, I am here for one reason, and that's to get my wife."
Yeah, I love that. No, his eyes are totally open now,
Mhm.
and he has one goal.
So he
Love it.
starts by trying to sabotage his new team, um, and
Yeah.
we find that maybe planned or not, he does it to distract them so that he can get in touch with the board and make a request for his other teammates to return. And
Yeah.
this is such a cool moment when Mark is, like, writing that note. I'm like, "Why is he writing this? Is he gonna stick it in his own pocket? Is he like, why would he do that? He knows what's gonna happen if he goes up the elevator in it."
Right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. And then we realize that he is gonna set up one of these new people, Mark W.
Poor Mark W. And he had
I
just said,
know.
like, "I'm sorry about your team. Like, sorry I'm
Yeah.
here. Sorry I exist, but I'm your new teammate now."
Yeah. Mark W. shows him some sympathy and says sorry that he lost his team. And
And stabs in the
just
back.
as just as Mark's about to completely set him up. Um, but yeah, it immediately goes wrong. Milchick is like, "You didn't even,
Disguise your
disguise your handwriting."
I know. And I feel like Mark knew that was gonna happen. Like, he had to have known that he was gonna be, found out for that. But he has this great moment after that where he's like his crazy eyes come out, and he's like, "You don't even know what I did to the kitchenette yet, do you?" And they're like,
Yeah, that
"Oh
was
god," they
honestly
all run there.
creepy.
Yeah, I was. I know. I know. But we don't see what
So
happens to the kitchenette.
no, we don't see what happens to the kitchenette. We do get a great new nickname for Milchick,
Mhm.
which is Milkshake.
Mhm. And, that is what he shall be known as for the rest of the season.
He does have moves, Milkshake. So yeah, Mark's plan works because Milkshake and the rest are running towards the kitchenette, and he gets a chance to slip back and go to Milkshake's office where he grabs the little speaker box that they use to talk to the board.
Mhm.
And I guess assumes that the board is just always listening.
I know, that's a crazy assumption, but sure.
Yeah, so Mark says his piece basically to the board and is just pleading, basically pleading because Milchek's quick on his heels about to grab the box away from him
Mhm.
and basically asks for his team back, is begging for them back. But Milchek does catch him and basically sends him back up the elevator. There's not really much discussion after that. And then we don't know, is he getting fired? Will he be back? What's going on?
And this was a moment where I expected, "We're going out. We're going to the outie
Yeah,
world now. Like, we're gonna see what's
exactly.
going on out there." Nope. Right back down the elevator.
Oh
This is
my god.
this was such a cool shot too. Like, you see him, uh, his face, do his little contortion thing up the elevator and then right back down. Like, ugh.
Oh, I know. That got me so good. I was so excited, like you said, to get back to the outside world and see what's going on there. But I was also like, damn, that was a good one when they brought us right back down.
That was a good one when they tricked us like that.
Uh, so Mark gets sent back down. The next time he wakes up on the severed floor, he is reunited with Dylan, Helly, and Irving,
Yay!
who show
Finally.
up soon after him. Yes. Oh my god. I was so excited when I saw them come down. Like
Ugh.
I hadn't been watching a lot of their promos on purpose because I didn't want to see a lot of spoilers.
Mhm.
So I'd only watched the first 8 minutes, the sneak peek, and they don't show Dylan, Helly, or Irving at all.
No, I thought it might be longer that we would be spending with this new team.
Yeah. But yeah, I was super excited to see them. So they show back up on the severed floor. The first thing we notice is there's a giant new painting called Kier Pardons His Betrayers.
Mhm. And it looks like I've seen people say that it looks like it is the MDR team, but it's 4 I think 4 heads or I don't know if they have bodies, but definitely 4 heads. Kier
Yeah.
kneeling beside them with a sword, and he's pardoning them like, like they're his subjects, but it's very threatening looking. It's got a lot of, like, it kind of looks like it's set in hell, like it has, like, a fire escape kind of background, like, it's creepy.
Yeah, it looks torturous. It looked to me like they were buried, like, up to their chest.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. I didn't pause it, but yeah.
Maybe he was gonna skirt.
Yeah, decapitation.
Anyway, yeah, so the innies show back up and they're all wondering what's going on, what's happened. Mark lets them know that he's been back a couple days and met a whole new team. Some stuff has gone down
Mhm.
since the other three have potentially been back.
Yeah, but, his request was approved, so at least his team is back. They are
Apparently, the board is listening 24/7.
The board is listening. Yeah, you're right. Um, they arrive, I think, in the MDR office, and then, Miss Huang shows up, and she
Mm,
escorts them to the break room, and I think they're all thinking at this point, "We're getting punished for what we did," but when they
yeah.
walk through the long hallway, Milchick is in this new renovated break room, with some chairs and a projector, and they watch a video, and Milchick promises they'll have better working conditions, and at the end of that, he offers the innies the choice to leave, so they can leave right then that day, and he promises they will never come back, or if they get to work, start working on their file, it means that they're choosing to stay, which is a very interesting switch from what we saw last season when Helly had to request to resign to her Audi, and that, of course, was
Yeah.
denied.
Yeah, it's a little suspicious how the tune has changed so quickly. First of
Indeed.
all, need to talk about this film that they screen in the break room. But can we talk about how the break room looks like it was decorated by any 35-year-old gamer guy?
Yes, it was. Also, did
There's
you
like the
notice the posters?
I kind of did. What did they say? The posters.
Okay, there were, a couple of posters up. So one, let me find where I wrote it down. One says, "I'm a frolicaholic."
Oh yeah.
One says, "Be ever merry," which we know is like a Cure thing. Another
Mhm.
says, "Grin and bared it." And then there's one that I only found through Reddit because it wasn't, like, really clear in the shots, but it says, "Hang in there," and it's Dylan holding the overtime
Oh,
buttons. It's like
uh,
a
I thought you were
depiction of
about to
him.
say it was Helly in the elevator, but
Oh my
oh my
god,
god.
you're sick. No.
The other one's crazy too, though.
I
Dylan.
know.
Dylan spread out.
I know, but it kind of, is in line with this video, this film that Milchick shows them,
Yeah. Lumen is listening.
which is not a threat whatsoever, even though it might sound like one.
Oh, it's a good thing.
Yeah, they're listening to us. So they like the way that they describe the film is that it's being shown to all innies now in their like orientation. But they talk about the macro-dat uprising, which is the OTC moment that they all had, and they basically use it as a way to show innies, new innies, that they've made reforms.
It's it's very interesting. The film is in the perspective from the perspective of the building, Lumen the building,
Yes.
and the building's talking to us, and
Branch 501, that's the building.
Yeah, and it's in the style of claymation a la Rudolph? I don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like the old Christmas claymation movies, and there's even a moment with Irving where he's like the what's that guy, the evil guy in claymation?
The heat miser?
Yeah, the heat
Yeah.
miser.
Yeah, it's very, like, cartoony, obviously, and it's just a bunch of BS, like, they're talking about the uprising yielded reforms like new snacks, the hall pass, which, like, does that mean they're gonna not be able to walk around the halls unless they use the hall pass?
I forgot
Pineapple
about that, hall
bopping,
pass.
which
Yeah.
sounds awful.
Horrible.
And then the mirror room, which I think everyone is really excited to see what form of torture that includes.
Yeah, that sounds horrible too. Uh, but it is really interesting that they're turning this rebellious thing that they did into something that it's like, "Yay, good job, guys, you did it."
I know, and right to their faces. Like, it'd be one thing if it's, like, another innie watching that, they might just be like, "Okay, sure." But
Yeah,
to them themselves, like, they have not been fooled.
yeah. They're like, "We love what you did with the uprising."
Ah. And they also learned that there's, no more surveillance, no cameras, no microphones, because in the film, we see that they used, like, actual audio that they had taken from their conversations around the
Yeah.
office, which
Yeah,
was
so
crazy.
obviously they have been fully surveilled, which duh. They're watching everything they're doing. So basically, they get all this information. It's a lot at once, and then Mr. Milchek and Miss Huang leave the break room, and the innies are alone again in this space. And this is the first time they're really getting to talk about what happened during OTC.
Mhm.
So Mark informs the group everything that he learned while on the outside, like just lays it out, everything that happened. And then it comes time for Helly to tell what happened in her OTC.
Don't let me down.
Don't don't you know it? She lies.
What? My jaw was on the floor at this point. I was like,
Same.
"I cannot believe what is happening, that she's lying right now."
This lady, I know. I was like, "Oh, how's she going to explain that she's an Egan?" And Lord, she doesn't.
Oh my god, I was screaming at the TV.
uh And so immediately, as a viewer, we're thinking, is that Helly? Is that Helly? Why is she lying?
We do question that, which we will talk about later when we get into theories,
Oh,
but it's
yes.
suspicious.
So, what Helly does tell us is this fake story about how she woke up in a boring apartment watching a nature show and
Mhm.
then goes outside, spots this guy who she thinks is a gardener and spills the beans, tells him everything that's going on at Lumen, how they're being treated. And the
Mhm.
guy says, "Don't worry, my brother's a cop. I'll tell
Mhm.
him everything. I'll make sure they know." And so that's Holly's story. And
It's,
it doesn't even sound like she believes it when she's saying it.
I know, the way she's saying it, it's like it sounds totally like someone just making something up on the spot, so, uh, and what happens is Irving clocks something, he's like, "A gardener?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think so," and he's like, "A night gardener?"
Uh-huh.
And, yeah, I mean, just a very strange moment of suspicion, and I
Mhm.
think
And
they
Irving also made it outside, so he knows it's
mm,
like winter.
yeah, that's another thing. Gardening
It's
what?
nighttime. Yeah. Snow gardening.
Um, Irving, of course, doesn't say what happened to him. He's very overcome with emotion, and
Mhm.
and he eventually actually just leaves the break room. And when he leaves, Dylan goes after him, and he's very distraught. and heartbroken over Bert having a partner. But Dylan and Irving have a really sweet moment, intimate conversation together, which is kind of unlikely
Yeah.
between the 2 of them. And I think when Dylan even gets up to go after him, Mark is like, "Are you sure?" Like, I think he's kind of questioning, like, "Are you sure you're the right person to go talk to Irving?" Um, but
Yeah.
Dylan convinces him to stay, essentially, is how that ends.
Yeah, that was a really sweet moment. And so it's interesting how they filmed it because the hallways are vast, we know this, and they end up in basically the hallway where if you remember Helly tries to leave through the door to the
Stairwell or something.
stairwell.
Yeah.
But they end up by this door and they end up kind of in an embrace,
Mhm.
whispering into each other's ears, and it's filmed really close and it's very intimate,
Mhm.
and we feel how close these characters have gotten.
Yeah.
And it's obviously this seeking the truth and this all the things that they've been through have brought them closer together, because if you remember Dylan and Irving in season 1, like at the beginning of the season, we never would have seen them, these 2 characters, embrace like this and beg each other to stay.
No,
So
definitely not.
it was a really sweet moment to see those 2 care about each other, and also for Dylan to kind of soften up and open up like that.
Yeah. And Irving finds that the space is safe for him to share what he saw when he was out. He tells him that he went to find Bert. He went to his house and he discovered Bert has a husband, and he's obviously heartbroken by this. Um, and he says to him, "It's not our world up there," which is so sad.
Mm,
Like, I think he's discovering how he can never have the relationship that he wanted to have with Bert. Like, it's not really going to happen unless Bert's innie is back, and that, of course, would be taking away someone else's partner from them. So, yeah, he realizes that it's not possible, and he also tells Dylan that he's been painting. His
mhm.
Audi paints the elevator that seems to go to the testing floor, and he describes it as like a dark hallway with an elevator with a red triangle above. And so they're starting to get some information about maybe where they need to go, which is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, that line that Irving says, "It's not our world up there," really hit me too, and I think was just perfect to convey the sadness of being severed,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Also, can't forget one of the best lines of the entire episode when Irving is like, "In my apartment, there are easels everywhere with this painting." And Dylan goes, "Fuck, there's easels up there?" Which is just so good, and they're, like, whispering it to each other, which is, like,
Yeah.
funnier. They're, like, embracing and whispering.
Sincere. Dylan has the best one-liners. I'm so excited for the
I know.
one-liners we're gonna get this season. So, those 2 have their little moment, and then Miss Huang shows up in the hallway and lets them know that Dylan's presence is requested by Milchick.
Mhm.
So, Milchick takes Dylan to this secret room off of his office and
Mhm.
shows him blueprints for plans basically he has for this new room slash wing something section of the office called Audi Family Visitation Suite.
Mm. Yeah, this is I mean, at first, it's so funny because Dylan goes into Milchick's office and he's like, "You gonna apologize for the belt?" 'Cause he talks about Milchick cutting his belt.
He's so upset about this belt.
I love him. He's so funny. And then Milchick draws him in by saying, "Your wife's name is Gretchen. She wanted you to know." And so then Dylan's like, "Oh shit. Like I'm going to follow him into the secret room."
Yeah. Yeah, they're looking at the floor plans and Dylan says, "So does that mean so is this where my family could come and visit me?"
Mhm.
And Milchick creepily says, "Well, if you take the name at face value, then yes."
I don't believe a
Which is
word
basically like
this man
I know,
says.
like, he can't even flat out lie. He's just
I know. It's like he doesn't wanna lie. I don't know. It's very weird.
right. What do you think? We'll get into this. I really wanna know what you think about the family visitation suite.
Yeah, but it's obvious from this, like, what Milchick is doing, pulling Dylan aside. He tells him that this is a secret. Like, he's starting to plant a secret with Dylan because he says the other innies don't have, spouses or anything, and so he doesn't want them to get jealous. But he's obviously, like, dividing the group. He's trying to
Oh,
create
yeah.
some, fractures between them.
Yeah, and if you know anything about abuse and, like, how that works and how people use control, that's, like, textbook. Like,
Mhm.
we have this
We
is a
have a
secret
secret.
between us, and you
Mhm.
can't tell anyone else.
Awful.
So, yeah, obviously, we're seeing this is not good. What's happening here, it's the seeds of what we're probably gonna see play out through this season,
Mhm.
and I really doubt that their families are gonna show up in this suite.
I know. Like, what makes you think that, like, you're just gonna see some strangers? Like, how would you even know that they're your family?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Well, everyone is a little shaken up at this point. Dylan goes back to MDR, Irving walks back into MDR, and so do Mark and Helly. And this is the last scene of the episode. They all sit down at their desks, turn on their monitors, and they resume work, which means, hey, they're all deciding to stay, which is very exciting. I think we expected
Uh-huh.
it though.
It was
um,
like a it was like a heartwarming moment, like the gang's
yeah,
all back together.
it was. And like the way the music kicked in, it was like, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
we're back,
Yeah,
baby.
baby.
And finally, the very, very end, we see Mark is working on a file called Cold Harbor, and it is revealed to pertain to Miss Casey. We see her face flash on our TV screens for a second, along with some crazy numbers and stuff, and so he's obviously working on something with her.
OMG. I feel like they are finally alluding to what MDR has been working on this entire time, which is
Mhm.
human minds.
You sounded like Christopher Walken when you said that, no joke.
Human minds.
They're giving us they gave us so many crumbs to go off of this
I
episode.
know. And I feel like we'll talk about this. I think they're leading us astray in some areas
Yeah,
on purpose.
I think so too. They know we're
But
smart. They know that everybody is gonna be thinking about, "What does this mean? What does this mean?" And it's not
mhm.
gonna be the simplest, most obvious answer.
No, and Severance watchers are freaks, okay? If you've looked at any of these if you've gone down any of these rabbit holes online, these people are screenshotting, they're doing, like, deep analytical research of what's happening here.
Mhm. Zoom enhance, zoom enhance. They're doing that frame by frame.
Which I had to pause that last screen where they showed Miss Casey.
Mhm.
I couldn't tell if it was her at first,
Yeah.
but
Well,
Cold Harbor, baby.
let's get into the theories. So, we have some of our own, we have some from Reddit, and I think the first most obvious one, especially based off of your word for the episode, which is lies, is that it hasn't actually been 5 months since the Macrodat uprising. It has maybe been less time, maybe been more time, but I'm thinking probably less time.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people pointed out that Milchick has boxes in his office that it looks like haven't even been touched. Like he hasn't even started
Mhm.
uh unpacking his stuff. And then also the title of the episode, Hello Miss Cobell, is still going across his little screensaver and he's upset about that. So it sounds like he's just moved in.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not convinced that it's been 5 months, but I can't get my head around why they would lie about it necessarily unless, I don't know, they're just trying to disorient them for some reason.
Yeah, me either. I think that might be kind of innocuous, that one.
Mhm.
Another theory is surrounding Miss Wong. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of questions and ideas around this new character. One of them is that she is Mark and Gemma's daughter? Question mark?
Mhm. Which I feel like everyone's just looking at Asian woman, white man, once married, made mixed child,
Make baby.
must be their kid. I don't know. I don't know if I really believe this, but there is a scene in season 1 where Mark is talking about his relationship with Gemma, and he's saying that they had tried to have kids and, like, couldn't, and so it's possible that, like, their DNA is out there somewhere and they conceived a child from their DNA, but for what reason, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Lumen to go raid some fertility clinic or
That's
something.
true.
Another semi-related theory is that Miss Wong is basically a clone of Gemma in some capacity, either literally, maybe,
Mm,
because they're playing with goats and who knows what they're up to there, or that she is basically the body of someone else and they've taken the consciousness of Gemma and put that into this new person.
right. Which I saw a
I don't
video
know.
about this too, which is like the Get Out theory, like the movie Get Out.
Mhm.
Like people are paying to transfer their consciousness to another body so that they can basically be immortal, live forever, and do evil stuff. Um, but
Yeah, which I will say I have a new theory kind of about what Lumen is up to, and it's kind of related to that.
hmm, lay it
Have
on me.
you heard the have you heard the theories that they're trying to control water?
I Yes, I have. Yeah, but I haven't like I don't know if I've really dived that far deep into it.
Yeah, same. And I don't know why they would be doing that. But there is a lot of water related imagery in
Mhm.
Lumen, like we can't deny that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it relates to the Fountain of Youth.
Ooh, that is very interesting. Yeah, because the Lumen, logo is like a water droplet, and then we see
Mhm.
other references to this in, like, the file names and stuff that they're working on in season 1, and then, uh, Mark goes to that dinner in season 1 that where they're not eating and they just have glasses of water, which is weird. Um,
True.
but yeah, there's a lot of little, things about water throughout.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's a bigger play here that hopefully we get more insight into.
Mhm.
Well, do you want to get into potentially the biggest theory that everyone's throwing around for this episode?
I do. It is that Helly R has been replaced by Helena Egan, meaning the Helly that we see in this first episode is actually Audi Helly, aka Helena. And
Oh my god.
I know. And there are so many things that lead us to believe that this could be true, and they're quite
Mm.
obvious. Like I think they're really trying to get us to think that.
Yeah, and if you know anything about abuse and, like, how that works and how people use control, that's, like, textbook. Like,
Mhm.
this
We
is a
have a
secret
secret.
between us, and you
Mhm.
can't tell anyone else.
Awful.
So, yeah, obviously, we're seeing this is not good. what's happening here. It's the seeds of what we're probably going to see play out through this season.
Mhm.
And I really doubt that their families are going to show up in this suite.
I know. Like, what makes you think that, like, you're just gonna see some strangers? Like, how would you even know that they're your family?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Well, everyone is a little shaken up at this point. Dylan goes back to MDR, Irving walks back into MDR, and so do Mark and Helly. And this is the last scene of the episode. They all sit down at their desks, turn on their monitors, and they resume work, which means, hey, they're all deciding to stay, which is very exciting. I think we expected
Uh-huh.
it though.
It was
um,
like a it was like a heartwarming moment, like the gang's
yeah,
all back together.
it was. And like the way the music kicked in, it was like, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
we're back,
Yeah,
baby.
baby.
And finally, the very, very end, we see Mark is working on a file called Cold Harbor. And it is revealed to pertain to Miss Casey. We get a flash at the
Oh.
very end of her face.
Can you
And
say that part again? Because it did
oh,
something weird.
which part? The
Just
whole
say, "It is revealed." Yeah.
and it is revealed to pertain to Miss Casey. We see her face flash on our TV screens for a second, along with some crazy numbers and stuff, and so he's obviously working on something with her.
OMG. I feel like they are finally alluding to what MDR has been working on this entire time, which is
Mhm.
human minds.
You sounded like Christopher Walken when you said that, no joke.
Human minds.
They're giving us they gave us so many crumbs to go off of this
I
episode.
know. And I feel like we'll talk about this. I think they're leading us astray in some areas
Yeah,
on purpose.
I think so too. They know we're
But
smart. They know that everybody is gonna be thinking about, "What does this mean? What does this mean?" And it's not
mhm.
gonna be the simplest, most obvious answer.
No, and Severance watchers are freaks, okay? If you've looked at any of these if you've gone down any of these rabbit holes online, these people are screenshotting, they're doing, like, deep analytical research of what's happening here,
Mhm. Zoom enhance, zoom enhance. They're doing that frame by frame.
which I had to pause that last screen where they showed Miss Casey.
Mhm.
I couldn't tell if it was her at first,
Yeah.
but
Well,
Cold Harbor, baby.
let's get into the theories. So, we have some of our own, we have some from Reddit, and I think the first most obvious one, especially based off of your word for the episode, which is lies, is that it hasn't actually been 5 months since the Macrodat uprising. It has maybe been less time, maybe been more time, but I'm thinking probably less time.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people pointed out that Milchick has boxes in his office that it looks like haven't even been touched. Like he hasn't even started
Mhm.
uh, unpacking his stuff. And then also the title of the episode, "Hello, Miss Cobel," is still going across his little screensaver, and he's upset about that. So it sounds like he's just moved in.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not convinced that it's been 5 months, but I can't get my head around why they would lie about it necessarily unless, I don't know, they're just trying to disorient them for some reason.
Yeah, me either. I think that might be kind of innocuous, that one.
Mhm.
Another theory is surrounding Miss Wong. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of questions and ideas around this new character. One of them is that she is Mark and Gemma's daughter? Question mark?
Mhm. Which I feel like everyone's just looking at Asian woman, white man, once married, made mixed child,
Make baby.
must be their kid. I don't know. I don't know if I really believe this, but there is a, scene in season 1 where Mark is talking about his relationship with Gemma, and he's saying that they had tried to have kids and, like, couldn't, and so it's possible that, like, their DNA is out there somewhere and they conceived a child from their DNA, but for what reason, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Lumen to go raid some fertility clinic or
That's
something.
true.
Another semi-related theory is that Miss Wong is basically a clone of Gemma in some capacity, either literally, maybe,
Mm,
because they're playing with goats and who knows what they're up to there, or that she is basically the body of someone else and they've taken the consciousness of Gemma and put that into this new person.
right. Which I saw a
I don't
video
know.
about this too, which is like the Get Out theory, like the movie Get Out.
Mhm.
Like people are paying to transfer their consciousness to another body so that they can basically be immortal, live forever, and do evil stuff. Um, but
Yeah, which I will say I have a new theory kind of about what Lumen is up to, and it's kind of related to that.
hmm, lay it
Have
on me.
you heard the have you heard the theories that they're trying to control water?
I yes, I have. Yeah, but I haven't like I don't know if I've really dived that far deep into it.
Yeah, same. And I don't know why they would be doing that. But there is a lot of water related imagery in
Mhm.
Lumen, like we can't deny that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it relates to the Fountain of Youth.
Ooh, that is very interesting. Yeah, because the Lumen, logo is like a water droplet, and then we see
Mhm.
other references to this in, like, the file names and stuff that they're working on in season 1, and then, uh, Mark goes to that dinner in season 1 that where they're not eating and they just have glasses of water, which is weird. Um,
True.
but yeah, there's a lot of little, things about water throughout.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's a bigger play here that hopefully we get more insight into.
Mhm.
Well, do you want to get into potentially the biggest theory that everyone's throwing around for this episode?
I do. It is that Helly R has been replaced by Helena Egan, meaning the Helly that we see in this first episode is actually Audi Helly, aka Helena. And
Oh my god.
I know. And there are so many things that lead us to believe that this could be true, and they're quite
Mhm.
obvious. Like I think they're really trying to get us to think that.
Yeah, there are several things that Hallie does that make us question whether this might be Helena. The major one being that she lies about what happens when she is in overtime contingency, which shocking
I know. And I
bad.
think I I was thinking about, like, why would she lie if it was Helly R? Like, if she actually is her any, what reason would she have for lying? And I think she's like I mean, obviously, no one wants to go in there and be like, "I'm an Egan, your enemy, like, come and get me."
No.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of leverage that the rest of them would have if they found out that she's an Egan. So I could understand her lying for that reason.
Yeah, I agree. And it's Helly's turn to tell her story right after Mark reveals that his wife, dead wife, apparently has been taken by Lumen and is Miss
Mhm.
Casey. So it's almost like, oh my god, like he just said this horrible thing. I can't say I'm an Egan now.
I
So
know.
and it's actually very split on Reddit. I think people are arguing both sides that it's a red herring. It really is Helly R, and she just doesn't know how to grapple with this news she's just received.
Right.
And no, it is Helena, and she's snuck in to basically surveil what's happening here and
Mhm.
control control the narrative there.
Right. And I think we get another glimpse of perhaps Helena right after they leave the break room and Mark and Helly have a conversation in the hallway where
Mhm.
Mark basically tells Helly, like, my mission here in coming back is to find Miss Casey and get her out of here. And he says to Helly, well, that's my wife. Like, I have to get her. That's my wife. And she's like, well, that's your Audi's wife. And he's like, yeah, but we're kind of the same person. And she's like, she has a big reaction, like, no, you're not, which I think we definitely see in season one. Helena has a lot of disdain for her Audi and believes her to have zero control, to be like a slave to the system that she's in.
Yeah, I think if that is Helena, she snapped a little bit and showed her cards there.
Not a good
And it
actress.
seems like you can tell she really is angry, and at first it seems like she's angry that he thinks innies and outies are the same, but then she kind of's like, "Whoa, wait.
Yeah.
I gotta be an actor." And she kinda switches her tune and is like, "We don't owe them shit."
Yeah. Which let's think about it the opposite way too. If this is Helly and she's probably feeling like I'm nothing like my Audi. Like, don't say that I'm the same as my Audi because my Audi is a bad person and I know that I'm here to do good. So
Yeah, this
it's
is why this is so genius is because I can
mhm,
twist it both ways depending on either character. And
mhm.
also there's the fact that Helly has feelings for Mark. So,
Right.
she could just be feeling kind of jealous and, like, jolted that
So
Mark's
true.
talking about his wife now.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So that's a really good one. There's another moment that everyone's talking about where the camera is focusing in on Helly kind of feeling around for the on off switch for her computer,
Mhm.
which everyone's pointing out, wait, if she's been there before, she knows exactly where the switch is. So
Mhm.
it must be Helena.
Right. Which that one I can't really explain why
That one
Helly
might
wouldn't be able to
be,
find it.
I feel like if we do find out that it's Helly R, that's definitely the show leading us.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and we also see, like you see a similar shot, earlier in the episode when Milchick is talking about trying to get his screen to say the right name, and he flips on his
Mhm.
computer, no problem, so I think they're obviously telling
Mhm.
us, like, it's not usual for somebody to not know where this button is.
Yep. And there are a couple other little things she does too. She's really trying to convince people, it seems like, that they're not surveilling, they're not recording, there's no
Right.
cameras. We can talk freely, you can be honest,
Yeah.
which is a little sus.
Yeah, she says something about that before they even go to the break room and find out there's no cameras and microphones. She's like looks up in the MDR office and is like, "Where'd the camera go?"
Yeah.
Suspicious.
Hmm.
So, what do you think is going to happen in episode 2?
Well, I think I really loved this episode because it was completely on the severed floor. I
Mhm.
think it was a fun way to start the season. I think next episode we're going to be completely on the outside and we're going to finally find out what has transpired since the innies told their stories.
I hope so because I'm dying to get out there. I feel like this was I don't know if they did this in season 1, but I felt like maybe this was the first episode where it was, like, totally in, like, there was no outside perspective. So
I think it was.
I'm like, I feel trapped already. Just I'm ready to get out.
Yeah, we got kind of the experience of the innies where we don't get to leave.
I hate it here.
What do we think's going to happen inside Lumen next?
Inside Lumen, obviously, I think Mark is gonna start right away trying to find Miss Casey, like, that's his whole aim. I think we'll probably see more of the "Is it Helly? Is it Helena?" clues. I don't think we'll get an answer in the next episode. I think like you said, I think the next episode's probably gonna be all outy, if not mostly. And then I don't know, I'm worried about what is gonna happen with Irving because he seems like he is just,
Mm.
uh, one step away from quitting completely.
Yeah, he's hanging on by a thread right now. And I don't know if he's gonna be any better on the outside. I think his Audi is really struggling. So I hope Irving gets some help. Finding out the truth of what's happening may give him some motivation to keep going outside of, discovering that him and Bert aren't going to be a thing.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know, there's definitely some part of Irving that is very loyal to them, so he could stick around just for that, even though he's so heartbroken. I hope he does.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I hope we get to see? Some pineapple bobbing.
I hope so too, and I wanna see Milchek in that little white shirt again. I miss him. I don't like the turtleneck. He's cute in the shirt.
A little short sleeve button up.
Yeah, it doesn't work on any other person except him.
All right. So we have some predictions for next episode. I want to see, can we cross anything off on Egan Bingo? Have you checked yours?
I'm checking mine now. Unfortunately, I can't fully cross anything off. The closest thing I've got is Audi inside Lumen, and we just don't know if that's true yet.
Yeah, I have a similar one. Audi infiltrates severed floor. And we don't know. We can maybe cross that one off in the future, but we'll see.
Mhm.
I don't think I can cross off anything either. I think they're doing a lot of setup right now, which I think in the next few episodes we're going to have a lot more action on our bingo boards. I do have new absurd office perk.
Mm.
So, if we get some pineapple bobbing or the mirror room, then we're good, baby.
I can't wait to see that. Well, head to our Instagram if you wanna play with us. Create your own Egan Bingo board. It'll be super fun. And while you're
Yeah.
there, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Spotify or wherever you're listening to this, and give us a rating. We would so appreciate it. We're gonna have
And you know
an
what?
what?
Follow us on TikTok.
And you know what? Once your app lets you back in and you can scroll, follow us on TikTok.
The first place I want you to go is listen after watching page profile.
Yeah, don't scroll. Search for us.
But yes, new episodes every Monday. We're going to be doing a recap episode discussion after each one of these new Severance episodes. We're so pumped for this season. I think we're going to see a lot of twists and turns that no one's expecting. So let's see how it plays out.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.